It's truly a blessing. I mean, you mentioned my great grandfather, Lonnie Quadro St. Simon, who was a great pastor, mentor, activist. When I was a kid, he had me reading civil rights books, probably about 500 pages long, making sure that I knew my history, where I come from, what he represented, and then just making sure that I had a faith, making sure that I knew that there was a higher power here and that we can't do this all alone. So that was instilled in me at a very young age. Between him, my grandmother Janet, my mother, I mean, all of them. I mean, that was the foundation for me. And then as far as the Amill side, my grandmother Nellie and my grandfather Raymond, I mean, they just showed the most love and support I could have ever had. I mean, just making sure that they knew that I believed in myself and that I could be anything. And then whatever I did, they were, my biggest cheerleaders in the front row, just there for me. So the love and support and guidance that I had from childhood, I mean, I couldn't be more thankful and grateful for that.
Today we have CJ Amill, the son of head coach Chris Amill, senior, former head coach at Cheney High School, now currently the head man down at Corvian Community School down in Charlotte. CJ Amill is a product of two individuals that I grew up in close proximity with. Very aware of this young man's talents on and off of the field, and have a connection to a lot of great people throughout his family. So it's my pleasure today to get the chance to have a conversation with him, get his thoughts and his insight on the game of football and his development while being reared in Youngstown, Ohio. Um, and then, catch up with him to get insight into what he's doing today in his post athletic career. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for agreeing to do this with me. And I'm looking forward to hearing your take on your experience.
It was a no-brainer, man. Thankful to be here, and I appreciate you for even considering me.
Absolutely. We tend to start off our segments, getting a little bit of background and familiarity with the guest at hand. In your case, I know a lot of people that you are related to or close friends or family with. So I'd like to kind of start this off with, highlighting some of the powerful people that are in your family. One being the late Reverend Lonnie Simon, who was the Reverend at New Bethel Baptist Church my whole childhood and an instrumental figure in my life. Can you tell me a little bit about um, what it's like to come from a family as well known as the Amills and the Simons, growing up in a city like Youngstown?
I mean, it's truly a blessing. I mean, you mentioned my great grandfather, Lonnie Quadro St. Simon, who was a great pastor, mentor, activist. Um, when I was a kid, he had me reading civil rights books, probably about 500 pages long, making sure that I knew my history, where I come from, what he represented, and then just making sure that I had a faith, making sure that I knew that there was a higher power here and that we can't do this all alone. So that was instilled in me at a very young age. Between him, my grandmother Janet, my mother, I mean, all of them. I mean, that was the foundation for me. And then as far as the Amill side, my grandmother Nellie and my grandfather Raymond, I mean, they just showed the most love and support I could have ever had. I mean, just making sure that they knew that I believed in myself and that I could be anything. And then whatever I did, they were, my biggest cheerleaders in the front row, just there for me. So the love of support and guidance that I have from childhood, I mean, I couldn't be more thankful and grateful for that.
The to me, the overall theme with both of those family groups is, family, community, and love. There's a lot of talented people in your family, athletically, musically,
Mhm.
people that are great faith leaders and want to serve. What do you get out of those themes? When it comes to music, when it comes to faith, when it comes to taking care of people. How did all of that impact you as an individual?
I mean, again, my village to me is second to none, and all I wanted to do is pay it forward. I mean, really, that's all I knew is you show up for your people, you do what you can for them, you try to lead them in the right direction, and you just give them genuine love and support. And that's just all I've tried to do to my family, to the friends that I've encountered, and the people that I've met along this journey. Is just always try to uplift them, be positive, because you never know what that could do for somebody. That can go a long way. So just try to pass that along as I continue on through this life journey. And with music, my grandmother was the choir director, so she was 14 at the church, and my whole family can sing and harmonize on the spot. I can't sing as great as them, but I learned how to play the drums at a young age. So again, just that music was always in me, and it stayed with me to this day.
When we talk about your mother and your father, two dynamic people, educators, leaders, um, parents to more than just you and your brother.
Absolutely.
Can you touch on each one of their personalities and the central importance that they play in your life?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in my opinion, two pillars in the community. My mother began teaching as soon as she graduated from Ohio University. She taught at New Hope first, Eagle Heights Academy. Then she went on to move to Cheney and Youngstown Early College. But I mean, just a patient woman, very educated. I mean, she really takes her time to explain everything to you and make sure you understand it. And at a young age, in the summertime, before I went outside to play or do anything, we had to do homework and summer bridge books. My little brother and I had to read a certain amount of pages. So, I mean, just making sure that I was educated and knew education was very important. But then again, just still offering that same gentle love and support that I needed. And my father the same way. I mean, I've had so many brothers and cousins because of him and him being a mentor for so long, starting with the Young Men's Fellowship at church, and then coaching Little League for the Braves and coaching at Mooney. I mean, there's just been so many people that I've met and have been in and out of my life, just because he's been there, he's been that rock, and he continues to do that today, and that's just something that I feel like I still try to do and follow in his footsteps. But I mean, that just has such a great impact on me and my little brother.
Now, we can't move forward without pointing out the fact that one of your parents is Irish and one of your parents is a Cardinal.
Yeah.
Where do the loyalties lie when it comes to the Holy War and that household growing up back in the day?
Oh, it was Mooney all day. I kind of feel bad for my mother. She really didn't stand a chance. But yeah, it was Mooney all day, because besides New Bethel, I've been around Mooney since I was maybe 5, 6 years old. So that was just something else that was always instilled in me. Those guys were like superheroes to me, and I just can't wait to be a part of that when I got older.
I got to witness the rise of your uncle taking over as the quarterback. I think back in '89 is when he moved into that role. Went on to be a tremendous defensive back for the YSU Penguins. And then, your father really emerged my senior year, his junior year. He started making an impact within the league and around the area as a receiver, a formidable defensive back. But, as I've watched him grow over the years and just seeing, him develop into this central figure as a mentor, his impact as a coach and his impact as a man that knows how to get to the heart of young men and take them out of difficult situations and send them on a pathway to make their life better. I think that's more important than anything that you can accomplish individually as an athlete. For you grew up being taught by him, playing for him. What is that like to have his influence from the very low levels and then developing you to be a complete player that's able to earn a college athletic scholarship?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in it and you're young, because my dad, I felt, it could be hard on me at times, but being at this position in my life now, I'm able to look back and know that it was all worth it. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work, and that's just something he made sure I didn't forget. Like, you have to work every day. There are people all over the country trying to do the same things that you're trying to do, and there's only so many scholarships. So how are you going to separate yourself? It's something that he would always tell me, and he just always made sure I was disciplined. I mean, I'm from Youngstown. There's a lot of things you can get into, a lot of things that can happen, and he just always made sure that I kept my head on straight. I was respectful. Yes, sir. No, sir. You do good in school. And you just do all of the right things, because any wrong mistake at any given moment, especially for young Black men, I mean, it could be one and done. So that was something that he instilled in me. Again, when you're young, you just think you're just being hard on you, and he's sometimes being unreasonable. But now that I'm at the point that I am now, I can only be just thankful for him and for that.
And when I say 1507, what comes to your mind when you hear those numbers?
1507 Hillman, isn't that the street of New Bethel? Yeah, yes, sir. The address.
Yeah. So what does that address mean to you, and what's the role that played in your life outside of the game of football?
Yeah, I mean, again, just the foundation. That's where my faith started. Believing in a higher power, knowing that we can't do this alone. Family, because obviously they had blood family there, but even if you weren't, it was still a very family environment. A lot of support, a lot of love, and people just looking out for you and making sure you were good. My love for music started there. I mean, I feel like my whole life and my whole foundation started at that church. And then it just so happened to be that I started playing for their football team as well at the age of 5. So, I mean, everything started at New Bethel. That is my foundation. That is where, I became a man. I made my first friends. I mean, that was everything.
And as you've seen that from a very close vantage point through the course of your life, so much has transformed and transitioned throughout that corridor. What is it like for you now when you go back down Hellman Street? You look at the old sanctuary, but then you see the new part of the church. What stands out to you with that? Just knowing how busy and vibrant that street used to be compared to how it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be sad when you get back. Just remembering what it used to be, and and how I used to look back. At the same time, like you said, seeing the advancement and seeing they have a new community center where they're looking to have host more events for the youth and give them a safe space to just come together and hopefully get away from a lot of the negativity and violence going on in this city. So it has changed, and I wish some of the things were able to stay the same. But at the same time, I do like seeing what they are trying to do and still continuing to be involved in the community and just make it better. So
And then, finally, as we are both Southside born and bred, you
uh,
know, um, Youngstown is a gritty city, has a little bit of a rough edge to it, but a
mhm.
whole lot of good people. And then you have a lot of accomplished people and great people that find their way through that. um, Having the church as your foundation, and then, a great set of parents as your core and an extended family and a wider network of people that were looking out for you. Um, what do you take from a Youngstown going other places in terms of mentality, and then your outlook on life and how you carry yourself when you're, whether it be away at college in Pennsylvania or uh, dealing with your daily activities where you are now? What do you take from the south side of Youngstown and carry out into the wider world?
I mean, you said it first, grit and toughness. You can't be soft. You can't be scared out here because they will sense it, they will smell it, and they will attack you. You know what I mean? So you can't be scared out here. You have to know who you are and stand firm in it. And then just hard work. We know about the steel mills and what happened once it shut down, but we're just known to be hard workers. Uh, you know, work hard for what we want, fight for what you want, and then just stand firm of who you are. Because again, if you're not sure, they'll try to tell you for you. So that's just something that I take everywhere I go.
And then, you made reference to getting your first organized start as a New Bethel Brave.
Yes, sir.
Coach Merrill, your dad were instrumental in taking over that organization, because it's been around for a long time, but the church stepped in to make sure that it continued to survive. What were those first experiences like for you? Getting into the organized game after being a person that watched it as you followed your dad around with the game. How was that experience for you?
It was everything. I was the one. I was begging my dad to let me play. My mom was not for it at all. She felt I was too young. But my dad, he started around 5 years old, so he felt that I would be okay. And even then, one of my biggest role models was Braylon Hurd. So when I first started, he was a 130. He was on a bigger team. So I would just watch him in amazement of all the things that he was able to do on the field, and I just try to mimic those same things. But I mean, that definitely molded me because you had a lot of great players that played for the Braves, and you had great players that played for the Titans and the Suns and the Knights. So it was a very competitive environment. So you were always just trying to, you wanted to be able to talk some trash, or when you see him have the upper hand. So I mean that created a competitive energy in me early on.
And playing games down in Bonnie Rogers. Were you guys down there at that time when you were coming up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's that like to wake up early on a Saturday morning
Uh,
as a peewee and have to cut down through the fog, come down the steps,
yep.
and get down on that wet grass early in the morning?
Yeah, I mean, it was everything. I missed it. I missed the smell. I missed the weigh in before the game. Making sure you could make your weight was never a problem for me. But I mean, it was everything. It was something you look forward to every morning. You would see all your friends, all your family there, and it was just such a live environment, man. I mean, to me, it was nothing like it. Again, just nothing but athletes going out there to compete and do their best, and that was just a great energy and environment to be in at a young age.
What's your first memory, wearing that helmet in a formal game? Like, what's the first thing that stands out to you when you get your first chance to get out there and really
Uh,
be in the midst of everything?
you remember your first touchdown. You're scoring, everybody cheering for you, and you also remember the first time you get your head took off. That's something you never forget. So, I mean, those are two things that definitely come to mind. I mean, you're cheering when you score and your team does well and you win, but then when things don't go your way, you get hit or you have that first fumble, and you just try to make sure you do everything in your power so that doesn't happen again. So you learn a lot of those lessons early on and pretty fast.
And then, with you having a mother that was really ingrained in education, and not only her, but your grandmother was a principal and a
Hmm.
longtime educator in her own right. You have activities that you have to participate throughout the week in church, whether that be some type of rehearsal or Bible study or what have you. You know how is that for a young CJ Amill in terms of learning how to balance and prioritize with all those different levels of things that are competing for your attention?
Again, I have to give that credit that to my mother. I mean, she made sure when you get home, homework is the first thing you do. You're not doing anything until that homework is done. So as soon as I get home, I'm knocking that out, and then from there we either have practice or, like you said, rehearsal, junior church. I'm playing drums for the church, so my choir rehearsal. I mean, it just so many things can happen, but she made sure that I knew that when you get home, you take care of your homework and your responsibilities, and then everything else follows.
And then, in terms of staying busy and staying active and, having a purpose, how does that look on the backdrop of some of the young men that may have started out with you at those lower ranks, but may have fell victim to other pursuits and endeavors as you're coming up in age and then, forming your own individual packs and groups?
Yeah, I mean, again, crediting that to my mother and my father as well. It's just keeping me busy, so that way I didn't really have time or even give it the energy to want to do anything negative or go to the streets. Luckily, that isn't unfortunately that isn't everyone's story. Everybody doesn't have that village and that support system and to kind of keep them focused. And some people do it out of necessity, but for me, I know I didn't have to go out and do anything illegal to eat or have nice clothes or anything like that. So I was able to stay focused on my practice, my school, my rehearsals, and that was just it was every day. It was 24/7. So that it just became a routine for me. So looking back, it's like they were very strategic in that, and I know why they did it. And it worked out.
Now you've been able to witness and see some of the great teams that Mooney had on some of those state championship runs. Your dad ended up being a defensive coordinator. You play for Coach Feckle, who was in my graduation year. So, as you're coming up and turning your eye out of the little league, junior high ranks, what are you looking forward to as you're starting to enter Mooney? And what vision did you have for yourself on the front end of that experience coming into the school?
Yeah, I mean, exposure is everything. So again, me being around them as young as I was, I just knew I wanted to play football. But then you look at guys like Kyle McCarthy or Nate Burney, Desmond Merrill, Darrell Johnson, Coulianos. I mean, the list goes on. But that 2004, 2005 years when I really fell in love with football, and I saw, I mean, they were superheroes to me. They were amazing. So I mean, they had great careers. They're going to state. I'm seeing them, Ohio State, Iowa, Oklahoma. I'm seeing these colleges come in and talk to them, and I'm seeing the opportunities that they have. So seeing that at such a young age, I'm like, okay, I want to do that, but I also know that it's possible. You know what I mean? So that just put a different battery in my back and a different drive to know that it was possible, and that's all I wanted to do was go there, play football, get a scholarship. And I told my dad that, and he said, okay, well, this is what you need to do, and it started from there.
Having an uncle and your father wear that uniform in front of you, what does legacy mean to you in terms of wearing a white helmet with a cardinal on the side, maybe having some skull and crossbone stickers
Yep.
permeating it? What did you feel like you had a banner to carry and a legacy to uphold through your own experience because of those individuals that you saw in front of you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, my uncle Ramon, my uncle Cheche, we call him. He had a great career there. Went to YSU, won a national championship. My dad had a great career. Went on to play at Kent. So it was definitely that, just wanting to go there and represent. You want to go there and be another Amill that was able to have a good career and make and do something with it and leave your mark. So that was always in the back of my mind, just making sure that I made them proud, but also made myself proud and just, again, continue that legacy as you mentioned.
And then you point out some instrumental running backs in your viewpoint. Braylon Hurd, tremendous player. Nate Burney, a younger brother of one of my teammates and a neighbor of mine. So I'm very familiar with the type of player that he was. But then you have greats that stretch back to the Coach Don Butchie days. You talk about the Ted Bells,
Yes, sir.
Dwayne Thomas, Eddie Thomas,
Hmm.
uh, Marcus, and Dave Coleman. What is that from your era? Because we talk about Mooney football being stack eye for the guys my age, but then by the time that you come in, you guys are playing more modern football in terms of formations, going
Hmm.
from the spread, the shotgun, doing some different wrinkles, but running the ball is still the identity at the school. So, what knowing that you idolize some of those older guys, what was your um, I would say what was your philosophy in terms of being a running back uh, from your vantage point?
I got to shout out Mr. Terrica Jones too, but it's just important to
Oh
know
yeah,
your history, know the guys that came before you. I mean, everybody knows about Ted Bell, and he still has that all time leading rushing in your career. So that was always like the goal, what you want to do, what you were trying to go. Um, but I mean, you just knew being a running back is important. They're going to run the ball, so you have to be tough, you have to be quick, you have to be elusive, you have to be reliable and dependable. Most importantly. So just knowing everything that came with that, and you just got to take it on, be confident in who you are, and take it on head first. Because again, you're going to run the ball, so all eyes are on you, and it's just like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
and what for you, what game stood out in terms of like your annual competition? Did you prefer playing the local powers, or did you like traveling outside the confines of Mahoning County and taking on quote unquote the best teams from this place or that place?
Yeah, I love to be able to travel and play teams that most other teams didn't want to play or didn't think they could play, and just showing them what Youngstown football was about and what we could do. But at the same time, I mean, we didn't get to play too many local teams, but there was nothing like being able to play a Boardman or Ursuline. And my junior year, we were able to play Struthers in the playoffs, and again, just kind of have that banter. You know what I mean? That upper hand where we're local, might be some friends, but you couldn't see us. You know what I mean? So it was also that fun in that as well. But I really did love being able to travel and see different cities and different schools, but and be able to show them that what we could do.
And then not having the chance to bring the title home that junior year, how does that play in your mind all these years later, knowing that you were that close, but didn't ultimately be able to close it out?
Oh, it's something you never forget. My friends and I talk about it probably every time we get together, because at Mooney, that is the standard, that is the goal. You start every practice with state champs. You run a lap, you're chanting state champs, so you're getting that in your mind. That's what you want to do, and having seen it happen before with teams before me, that was my only goal. So to get there and be so close and to not be able to bring it home, I mean, it hurts to this day, but still just thankful to have even been that close to been in that position.
And then with you leaving those 20s and heading towards those 30s, does the importance of football still rank high, or have you started to develop an eye on other things that outweigh, you know, just a football experience?
Um, I just think the life lessons that you learn from football, I mean, they just still relate today as far as just teamwork and being selfless, um, and just working hard. But also just knowing that there is more to life than football, and knowing that you're just using that as a stepping stone. But I truly do believe that a lot of the lessons that you learn throughout that game translate to regular life, and it definitely helps you be successful.
With you getting the opportunity to spend your 4 years through that Mooney system, yet having the opportunity to see your dad transition over to the city side as a coach. There are some people that think of the parochials or the suburban schools as better or stronger or safer. You know, having the opportunity to play on one side of that and then be around the other side of that. What is your opinion on public school football versus private school football? Is there any difference in your opinion in terms of being a suburban kid, being a parochial kid, or being a city kid?
In my opinion, no, because there was always so much talent in the city. Um, to me, it just comes down to resources and opportunity. Um, and Mooney had a lot of resources. You got a lot of great coaches that went through there and coaching at a high level. So you're gonna look out for your own. You know what I mean? They're around, and they had a lot of the resources, the money to be able to afford uh, and provide us with certain things necessary to be successful. And that's what my dad did when he went to the city, was provided those same resources and opportunities to those kids. And in a short amount of time, I mean, you guys were able to see what he was able to do, winning seasons, sending kids to college. So it's not a talent thing. No one's better than anybody else. It just comes down to resources and opportunities. And that's something that my dad, I feel like, recognized at an early age. And the fact that he was at Mooney, he just brought a lot of those city kids there so that they could experience that. But then when he decided to move on, he said, I'm going to bring that to a city school and show you guys that it's possible here as well. So,
Looking at your film and your clips, you definitely had a lot of ability, a lot of versatility. Um, I know as we dream about what we want to be and where we ultimately want to end up, sometimes it just doesn't go according to the vision that you have as a younger player. And then, once you kind of get immersed in the process of being recruited, trying to figure out what's the best fit for you, you end up knowing through that process that sometimes it comes down to metrics, sometimes it comes down to numbers. For you, being a little bit on the lighter side in terms of height, weight,
mhm.
what was your experience like in terms of being a prospective recruit? And how did you get through your recruiting process and ultimately decide on attending Lafayette College?
Yeah, so I mean, I was always just told to just leave it on the field. You know what I mean? So my film spoke for itself. I had pretty good stats and numbers, but again, I was on the lighter side. I was 5'8", 5'9", maybe 160 soaking wet. I mean, I was just light. I worked, but I just didn't have a lot of weight on me. Um, so I would hear all the time, if you just had a couple more inches on you, if you were just 10 pounds heavier, so it could be discouraging at times, but again, just knowing that if you believe in yourself and you put in the work, somebody will find you. And that's just what my dad and other people continue to tell me. So I just kept my head down and kept working. I had offers from Kentucky, Cincinnati, some MAC schools, uh, but then there's been some coaching changes, and if you're not already committed, they're pulling offers. They want to bring in their own guys. So I mean, I experienced it all. Um, but towards the end of it, I was able to get recruited. It started with Yale, actually. They came in the picture. I had pretty good grades in high school. I had like a 3.7, 3.8 GPA. At a 21 on my ACT, so that also opened up a lot of doors for me. Um, Again, you don't realize it and what your parents are talking about until something like that happens. But I just didn't want my parents to pay for school. So even though that was a great opportunity, they didn't offer full scholarships. But then Patriot League came to my school and said, well, if he's interested in Yale, we're the kind of the same type of school academically, and we can give him a full scholarship. So that's how all those schools came in the picture. And I ended up getting offered from all of the schools there. Ended up deciding on Lafayette College.
And how much did you know about Patriot League football prior to being approached by that staff?
I didn't have any knowledge prior to that. I didn't know who they were, what they were, or even how great of a school they were until I told my family. And I have a cousin, Kendra Ross. She went to NYU. I mean, she has a doctorate, so she was just like, "That's a great opportunity. You should really look into it." And from there, I began to do my research. My mother did as well, and then you come to find out that it was a great opportunity for me.
I ended up spending my 4 years playing over in Pennsylvania as well in the PSAC. And, I think sometimes when you fall below that Power Five or that Division 1A level, sometimes you think where you're going to may not be as good or as competitive. For you as you make that transition from the high school level of football, and what comes with the IQ of a high school player, what is that transition like for you moving up to the college ranks, and and more specifically, as you're getting into those first periods through camp and showing up on campus, are there any things that let you down, or are there any things that surprise you and open your eyes to the level of ball that you ended up selecting?
So going to a school like Mooney again, I mean, just you're surrounded by great coaches. So my IQ, I felt like was pretty high. I understood the game. It wasn't hard for me to learn the playbook. But then you get there and recognize the speed is a bit different. The game is faster, people are stronger. So that was something that you definitely had to adapt to during camp. Um, so I would say that was probably the biggest adjustment is just adjusting to the speed of things. But uh, after my first year in camp, I feel like I was able to adapt pretty quickly. I was playing some running back, slot receiver, and returner, and was able to work my way into the rotation pretty early on.
And what's your opinion on now? The gap is the same when you come in as a freshman in high school and the seniors that are on their way out. But to me, there's a bit of a difference of the 17, 18-year-old new arrival, and then some ways you may end up having guys on your team that are 23, 24,
Hmm.
25 at some places.
Right.
And then, in this current era, you got guys that are getting 6 and 7 years of college ball. So, what would your advice be to these young guys that are looking for their opportunity, and how do you approach going into a college environment and carving out a niche for yourself to get yourself on the field and get your career off to a good start?
Yeah, just don't be discouraged. Don't be intimidated. First and foremost, learn your playbook. If you know what you're doing, you're already 10 steps ahead of a lot of other people. I mean, skill can only take you so far. So just knowing what you're doing when your number is called on, and just do the work. Keep your head down and do the work. They will notice you. Try to win every sprint when you're in the weight room. Go hard every rep. You might not be the strongest, you might not be the fastest, but they notice effort. Um, and I just feel like that's what separates you from the next man. And to me, for myself and for other people I've seen, it's worked so far. So that would be my advice to them.
And then, when you talk about like that Patriot League profile per se, these are highly regarded academic institutions, a lot of history and a long lineage at some of these places. And then, I think sometimes we come from these inner cities, or a little further into the Midwest, but you're in the East now.
Hmm.
What is it like for you socially? You're meeting different people from different places. How do you carve out your space in this new culture that you were immersed in?
So I just think kind of my story of my childhood is pretty interesting because yeah, I'm from the inner city, I'm from Youngstown, South Side, black friends, black family. But my parents put me in Catholic school pretty young, so you're around white people or people from different ethnicities, so you know how to talk with them, and you realize you may not be that much different. So going to a school like Lafayette, which was a PWI, at first it might have been kind of a culture shock, but again, I knew how to interact with those people and operate in those environments. So I would just say that exposure early on definitely helped me to know how to maneuver and be successful, and again, just kind of just do my thing and kind of stay hidden. You know what I mean?
And then, can you tell me about like some of those games, and what is the competition level within that league? Um, a rival like Lehigh, you playing those games the last part of the season, and
Hmm.
records aside, both teams want to come out with a victory. You're getting to uh, play some of these power teams in one AA football. For those of us that may not have ever experienced that region of the country and what the football style is like, could you kind of describe that or take us into some of those rivalries and those games that matter within that league?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was still tough. It was still gritty. I mean, it's D1, so you're still playing a lot of great talent. We played Army, we played Delaware, we played Temple. So those would be like our out of conference games. But then you would have your Lafayette, I mean, your Lehigh, your Fordham, your Bucknell, and teams within that conference. But it was competitive. I mean, it wasn't Alabama, it wasn't a Georgia, but these are guys that possibly maybe could have just maybe a bit smaller, maybe don't have the weight, and I mean, and they're there. So it was very competitive, very tough, um, and then you had to go out there and show for yourself every week. It wasn't easy at all, but again, it was what I was used to going to Mooney. So it was kind of very similar as far as the toughness and the grit, and very run heavy from what I was used to.
You earn your degree after really putting together some really good years there. You put up a lot of return yards in the kicking game. You had to fluctuate between being a running back, being a receiver, back to being a running back. So where as some would maybe look at your numbers and your career, one if you're not looking with a keen eye, somebody might say, hey, you underachieved because you were this type of back when you were in high school, but you're a guy that could do multiple things at multiple levels, and you still show excellence. And you were recognized by being selected as not only an offensive first teamer, but a special teams player of the year. Your team selected you as the team MVP. So to me, that stands out for a guy who's essentially a Swiss Army knife and maybe not the focal point of your team. What does that recognition of being selected as a captain, being selected as a team MVP, what does that mean to you to get that nod from your peers and your coaches?
I mean, it was everything. Like you said, that's the highest honor. I mean, people from the outside can say whatever, but for my teammates, my coaches, and other coaches and people from other teams being able to want to vote for me and say, "Now he was one of the best that we played against or coached." I mean, that's the highest honor because they're the ones that are seeing you or playing against you. So to have that love and respect from them was everything. I was hard on myself, and I would get in my head as well. Like I didn't have a 1,000 yard rushing season like I may have wanted to, but I made the best. I did. I made the best with what I had. I mean, I did a lot with a little. I still had almost, or maybe had 3,000 all-purpose yards, and while I was there. So I mean, again, you're looking at it, and you might be like, he didn't do the best, but I made the best in most of my opportunities, and was still able to, have tryouts with the NFL and stuff like that. So. I don't look at my career as a disappointment at all. I think I was still able to do some pretty great things and get recognized by the people that matter.
And when you think back to the guys that you looked up to, the Nate Bernies, the Braylon Hurds, what is their opinion and viewpoint of you looking at a guy that came behind them and took that mantle of being a Mooney running back and showed, improved, and represented?
I mean, they stayed in touch with me throughout my whole career. Those would be guys that I'm reaching out to, sending them clips or asking for advice. So they're very pivotal throughout my career and just keeping me motivated and inspired because they had some struggles throughout in their college career as well, and maybe not doing as well as they wanted to, or just going through problems with coaches and things like that. So they were great for me, always uplifting me, supporting me, and letting me know that they respected my game and what I was doing. So that was something else that kind of kept me going and kept me motivated.
Now, what's your thoughts on AJ Jackson having his time and kind of pushing that name into new territory and a new direction? How does that make you feel to see him, you know, be what everybody thought he was from the beginning, and then take that to a level where some schools may have regarded him as being too slight or not good
Mhm.
enough, but him to arrive and just continue to do what he does. How does that make you feel personally?
I mean, I love him. I mean, not just because he's my little cousin, but he's just a great young man. Um, and the fact that he confided in me and respected what I thought and how I felt, I was just pouring into him and telling him the same things that I was being told and telling him my experience and just making sure that he didn't get down on himself. Because if you do the work and you put it on film, you get your opportunity. So for him to get that full scholarship, and he had a great year at Hampton, and now he's at Western Carolina, and seeing him again, he's on full scholarship doing his thing. I mean, I'm just so proud of him. I'm happy for him, and that's just how I want to be able to pay it forward.
Can we touch on the relationship between brothers? You have Taryn, who chose not to be a football guy, but has his own talent and his own desires. What is it like for you as the bigger brother? The athlete, to watch him pursue his own lane, playing basketball, to be a great kid and get his academically. You know, Give me some insight into your thoughts and what makes you proud of him.
Yeah, my greatest joy is just watching him become his own man. He was honestly probably a better athlete than I was, but he just had a lot of surgeries early on that prevented him from being able to play for a lot of years. So he decided to just sit back and, like you said, do his own thing and find his own way. And to me, that's one of the most motivating, inspiring things, because he could have let that hinder him or affect him for a while, but he just decided that he would find his own way. Just recently graduated from the University of Cincinnati in sports administration. Um, so because he wasn't really able to do sports in the way that he wanted, he's finding another way to be a part of it, which I love. So just love him, man, and just the fact that he's his own man, didn't feel obligated to do what me and my father did, and again, to me, that's probably the greatest honor.
Your dad is building a reputation for himself down in the Queen City. I think anybody who's come from the north to the south knows there's a little bit of a difference in terms of philosophy. I think when you come from other places, the South tends to be very communal and set in their ways. And when something new shows up, you may find some haters very quick.
Oh, for
But
sure.
he's just brought a spirit of building a staff full of people that he trusts, getting kids to believe in themselves and building it from the ground up, and showing why he is the coach that he is. And I'm sure some of that stems from being exposed to great coaches and great programs and just knowing what the blueprint is. But there is that special thing that he does in terms of getting kids to believe, even if they don't have great talent or great experience. What's that like for you to be able to be a part of his staff and have that day-to-day connection and witness what he's developing there in Charlotte?
I mean, it's amazing, and it really being on this side of it, I just have even more respect for what he does, and just his gift and his talent. He knows his X's and O's. He's a great coach, but being able to, like you said, motivate and bring the best out of these kids. I mean, when he first started, I mean, you had kids that didn't know what the difference between a kickoff and a punt was. I mean, starting from ground zero. But to go from that to now, you're having two of probably the highest recruits in North Carolina, offers from Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, etc. I mean, just it goes to show how much hard work, how much work he puts into this, how much thought he puts into it. Um, Personally, driving these kids around the country to go to camps and get that exposure needed. I mean, he's just really putting in the work. Yes, he knows his X's and O's. Yes, he's a great coach, and yes, he was able to bring in a greater supporting cast around him. But he just does the work and he cares. And as a kid, once you see someone believes in you and is willing to do whatever they can for you to succeed, I mean, you'll want to go to war for him. I mean, that's it's just usually how that goes in your mind. So that's what I've been seeing since he's been here, and he's been able to have some success.
In your daily work life, you're operating in project management for an organization. What is that transition from the athlete athletic identity to the everyday uh, workforce and establishing yourself as a man? How what role does that play in your life in terms of taking you to the next level of where you want to be?
Absolutely, just knowing how to prioritize teamwork. I have a great sales team with me, but learning how to work together. Um, and just do the work. These are all lessons that you take from football. Having to go to class, do your homework, but still make it to practice on time, make it to your meetings. I mean, you take all of those skills and being able to communicate with other people, regardless of background or ethnicity. You learn that in football, but then you apply it in your real life, and your career. So, for me, it was a great transition, just applying those life lessons. Um, and I've been able to have some success with my job as a project manager out here. So it definitely applies. So you just have to remember those lessons and make it work.
For me, it's amazing to see the second generation of people that I grew up with, their kids going on to do phenomenal things. And for you, you're approaching almost 30 years old, and I've
Yes.
been seeing you since you were a toddler.
Right.
And to watch you transition from um, talented, energetic kid to being a guy that carved his own way in our area against some great competition. To see that you were able to parlay that into a really high level opportunity in terms of being able to go to an elite college and not only go and show what you were as an athlete, but to make sure that you took care of your business and you got the degree that was waiting on the end of all of that. I think sometimes, when we're pursuing that athletic lane, we don't realize how important having a credential, having some type of training or skill is, because it's what's going to feed you and carry you through the vast majority of your life. You get slower as you age. You get a little bit sore just waking up and jumping out of bed to do regular things. So I'm saying in that, whatever athletic prowess that you have, it's limited. Time is going to get you in the end. The theme of our show is one more down. We talk about a myriad of things that cover the athletic identity, but it's really just about life and about manhood and the opportunity that athletics plays in guiding you to that point. I'll leave you with this question. If you had that one more down to repeat, this is a philosophical question. It could be on the field, off the field, with a particular person or family. What would CJ Amill choose for him as that one more down? Could you tell us who would be involved in that and set that picture up for us?
If I had one more down, it would definitely be with my brothers at Cardinal Mooney High School. Be with Cam Stringer, Roosevelt Cooper, Chris Mitchell, Jabraylon McClendon, Cam Kitchen, so on and so forth. All my loved ones in the stands, especially my grandfather Raymond and my grandmother Nellie, who are no longer here. Just being able to look up in the stands and see them and hear them cheering us on. Those are just some of the best times of my life, playing with my best friends and having all your family and friends there to support you and love on you while you're doing it. It's just something that I always cherish and that I miss. So if I had one more down, it'd definitely be that for me.
You know, getting to spend this time with you and, talk a little shop in terms of people, places, and things that are important to us. The just knowing the people that you come from and the type of individuals that you've been influenced by, it's not a shock that you turn out to be as great of a young man as you have. Getting to have a personal conversation with you and just hear your approach and your outlook, and just knowing that the goals that your mother had set out for you early on in terms of being educated and well-rounded, the toughness and discipline that your father exposed you to in terms of going out and making sure that your presence is felt and that you take your rightful place. Even more importantly, just knowing that you carry on that spirit from both the Simon side and the Amill side that wants to see people do well. I'm thankful that you are getting to experience success and continuing to push that name forward and remembering the people that got you there. So thank you for being a guest today. Thank you for sharing your story with me. And I look forward to seeing you progress and, get your next accolade and your next advancement in life.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for letting me be on your platform and tell my story.
Absolutely. My pleasure.